Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. At the microphones, we have WSU President Kirk Schultz and WSU Director of Athletics, Pat Chun. We will start with an opening statement from Pat Chun, followed by President Schultz. Then we will transition to media questions. Pat?
Thank you, Bill. Today, Nick Rolovich was formally notified by the university that he has failed to meet the requirements as stated in the state of Washington Governor Inslee's Proclamation 21-14-1 related to vaccination requirements. The noncompliance with this requirement renders him ineligible to be employed at Washington State University and therefore can no longer fulfill the duties as a head coach of our football program effective immediately. The separation process has been initiated in accordance with the terms as specified in his contract. It is disheartening to be here today. Our football team is hurting. Our WSU community is fractured. Today will have a lasting impact on the young men on our team and the remaining coaches and staff. As a director of athletics and steward of this department, I take full ownership and responsibility for hiring Nick. In January of 2020, based on all the information we had at the time, including extensive references and conversations with knowledgeable football experts, we believe we found the perfect fit and a long-term solution for Washington State football. Unfortunately, we stand here today having to make a transition. Earlier this evening, I met with our football team and the remaining coaches and staff to notify them directly of Nick's noncompliance with the governor's proclamation. To be at this juncture today is unacceptable on so many levels and is antithetical to the WSU experience our student athletes so richly deserve. I'm saddened for our football alumni and to all the proud Cougs all over the world for the fracturing that has transpired over the past few months. We need to infuse compassion, empathy, and unity back into our WSU community, and that healing process needs to begin immediately. Going forward, our priority has been and will continue to be the health and well-being of our 2021 football team. This team is filled by an extraordinary group of young men that continues to exemplify the definitions of character, perseverance, and resiliency. I am making a heartfelt ask to Cougs to unify around this football team and give them the support and love they need to get through this season. One of the reasons they came here was to be a part of this Coug family. Now more than ever, they will need to feel the unique support and love that comes with being a part of this Coug family. We have named Jake Dickert as our acting head coach. I met with he and the staff as well, and they're committed to serving our 2021 football team. Beyond 2021, we'll work towards seeking a leader for Washington State University football. This person needs to exemplify what it means to be a Coug, embrace every single aspect of leadership that is required with a job of this magnitude, and have an authentic commitment to serving our student athletes, our university, and the entire Washington State University community. Thank you, and President Schultz will offer some comments.
Well, good evening, Cougs, and thanks for everybody joining us this evening. I want to thank Pat Chun and his staff for keeping the health and well-being of our student athletes front and center as we navigate this needed change. Washington State University has been clear from the beginning that vaccines and masks are important tools to help us return to in-person teaching, learning, all the things that go around campus life, Greek recruitment, going to football and soccer and volleyball games, and all the different things that make part of the Coug experience. Without the vaccine and the mask mandates, we would not be here today in an in-person setting, feeling the way that our student body, our faculty, our staff, and our alumni do. We were the first public university in the state of Washington to institute a vaccine mandate for our students back in April. Vaccine requirements work. Today, over 90% of WSU employees and 97% of WSU students are vaccinated. More importantly, and we've had this message all along, I've had this message all along, Pat, as our athletic director, has had this message all along. Vaccines are safe and highly effective. Here in Pullman, the total number of active COVID cases as of today is 7 out of a total population of nearly 24,000 students, faculty, and staff. While this has been certainly a challenging time for the team and for the university, we are looking forward to the future of Cougar football. I have great confidence in Pat and his team that they're going to go out and find the next great leader for Cougar football taking over. And I know there'll be lots of questions and media speculation, all that stuff about who's going to be our next football coach. I just want everybody to know today I have complete confidence that Pat will go out and once again find an exceptional coach that fits the WSU culture, that fits the winning that we expect and winning and doing it the right way, representing the university. I'm really eager to have Coach Dickert standing in and serving as our acting coach. What a tough assignment for him and the rest of our coaches working with our student athletes during this time of change. But I have confidence that Jake will do the job, have us ready to play BYU, and do a great job managing and leading our football program over the remainder of this season. We have a lot of sensational football ahead. We're on a win streak. We've got a lot of positive momentum around the program, and watching these student athletes perform during the last 3-game win streak that we have been super exciting. And I look forward to continuing to support these young men moving forward. So look forward to answering questions that people may have. And just as a reminder, we are really not permitted to go into a lot of specific details on employees, including Coach Rolovich, due to privacy laws. So there may be some things that people ask that they want to know that at this particular point in time, Pat, and I just have to say we really can't answer that.
Thank you, President Schultz. At this time, we will take questions from the media online. Please click the raise hand button on your computer and I will call on you. Our first question is from Jamie Vinnick of Kook Fan.
Guys, what were the conversations like with Coach Rolovich and the other departed coaches kind of before they left? Were there any kind of parting words in that sense?
I mean, I met with Nick directly, and those conversations will remain private. But unfortunately, we're here today, and we ultimately have to move forward.
And this might fall into the category of what can't be said, but were any of the coaches presented with an option to get vaccinated when their exemptions didn't go through and to be placed on leave, or was that not a possibility?
The university has been very clear on all the steps that needed to be taken to be eligible to work on October 19th, which is tomorrow. Relative to what shot you took, when those deadlines have to be hit, every employee at Washington State University fully understood what had to be done to complete this, to be in compliance with the governor's proclamation.
Our next question is from Kyle Bonagera of ESPN.com.
Hey guys, wondering if you could speak to the where things are financially. Will all of the coaches no longer be paid, or is there any sort of buyouts as a part of their departures? Thanks.
The employees we met with today are no longer eligible to be employed at Washington State University via this proclamation by the governor. We have began the process as detailed in their respective contracts relative to their separation.
Our next question is from Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports.
Hey, hi guys. Thanks for doing this. This may have been in the press release and I missed it, but excuse me if I'm repeating myself. 4 of the assistants were let go as well for not taking the vaccine. That would be half the staff. Did all 5 of those men give exemptions for the same reason? Were there different reasons? Can you address that?
Those are the specifics we cannot go into, and I'm not even. Those are the specifics we can't go into because of employee laws, privacy laws.
Okay, and also when I don't remember the timing of Governor Inslee's mandate, but when did you get wind that at any point before or after that Nick was not going to take the vaccine?
I mean, we've had conversations that date back months. So, I mean, he was resolute in his stance, and he's ready to make a choice. That choice did not put him in compliance with this proclamation from the governor, and that's why we sit here today.
Our next question is from Bruce Feldman of The Athletic.
Pat, with the 4 assistant coaches and Nick being out, who are you guys planning on adding, or what are the steps to take to, as you guys prepare to play BYU, that the players have more coaching and more direct hands-on guys working in the process?
I mean, it's problematic, and I mean, we obviously have a really good opponent coming into Pullman this week. We've been working on contingency plans. Nick did give us some input on some of those contingency plans. We'll work with the staff, with Coach Dickert and Coach Brian Smith, to decide who we can get in here to start helping out. The challenge on the offense, which most of you guys know, is it's a very detailed, intricate offense that's run and shoot, and to get the right coaches that can help assist. There just aren't a lot of people on the streets right now. So we've been working on this for a couple of weeks just in case, and we'll go forward with a couple of those. So as we go through this process, obviously, we're began the process of backgrounding, checking a couple people, but hopefully sometime in midweek we'll make some announcements on who's here.
Next question is from Colton Clark of the Spokesman Review.
This might be another one that I don't know if you can answer, but was this an exemption declined or accommodations not met type of deal?
Repeat that question.
Well, because I know were the exemptions declined or perhaps approved and then the accommodations weren't met?
For the employees that we received notification to from today, it was relatively simple. The accommodation request was denied.
And this is for President Scholes. To what extent has this whole situation been, kind of a PR headache for Washington State's leadership and just being, its stance as a research institution over these past couple of months?
Well, certainly we've been in the national media again and again and again over Coach Rolovich's particular stance on vaccines and his personal decision on whether or not to be vaccinated. So it'd be naive of me to say that this wasn't affecting the perception of Washington State University, certainly in the state, with prospective students, with donors, with lots of people around. That being said, we emphasize all along that fairness and equity are important, that we have a process that every employee at WSU would have the same opportunities. We weren't going to hold anybody up a particular way or create a special process for anybody. And I think we followed through on that. You can imagine today, we're certainly here talking about members of the football staff, but there are other employees of Washington State University that also made similar types of decisions around vaccines and exemptions that we also initiate a separation process on today. So this is a tough day for the university in many ways, and not one that we're particularly proud of, but one where we felt we had to make sure that everybody had that equal chance to be heard from their own personal standpoint.
The next question is from Billy Witz of the New York Times.
Yeah, I have a couple questions. I guess one for Pat and one for Kirk. Pat, I guess was this firing with cause or for cause?
Nick is not eligible to be employed at Washington State University through non-compliance. So we'll initiate the terms as stated in his contract. But
what does that mean? I mean, that sounds
he's
like
not eligible. Due to this non-compliance with this mandate, he's not eligible to work. So there are, if you go, we'll release the terms of his contract, but he is righted an appeal process, and he'll go through all that.
Okay, but I mean, so is it for cause or without cause?
Yeah, he's for cause. He's not eligible to work here now.
Okay, all right. And Kirk, yeah, I was just wondering if you can elaborate. You hit on this earlier, just about the these aren't the only 5 guys that have begun the I guess separation process. How many other people at the university are in the same boat, so to speak?
Yeah, I checked with our human resources department earlier today because I anticipated this question might come up, and we're still processing those particular numbers. So I just don't have anything accurate to give you. We will have something in the next couple of days, but it's not a large number of people. It's certainly less than 50 at this particular point out of an employee base of nearly 10,000. So it's a really small number of people, fortunately.
Next question is from Tim Booth of the Associated Press.
Kirk, how often did you speak with Nick about his stance? And did either one of you ever get a feeling along the way that he was reconsidering getting vaccinated?
So I allowed the conversations around the vaccination status to be between Pat and Nick. my conversations with Nick were mostly around the football program, the direction of the program, our student athletes, where things were going, that type of thing. Pat and I decided that it would be best for him to have those conversations as a direct supervisor for Coach Rolovich, and we stuck with that all the way through the process. I will say, while we're talking about Coach Rolovich here, when we made a change in our men's basketball program a couple years ago, or other coaching changes, this is the way it works. Pat, as athletic director, has those conversations with those coaches over things like this, and he and I confer. We come to a consensus, and then we act in that particular manner. So I did not talk directly to Coach Rolovich about this. Several people have asked. I really allowed Pat to have those particular conversations. I want to reiterate, though, we have had these conversations for months. This is not something that just happened in the last week or two.
Pat, I guess then following up with you, did you ever get a sense that Nick was reconsidering his position and would be getting vaccinated?
That's a question only Nick can answer, but I know we offered, and we actually had multiple educational sessions for all of our staff, our coaches, relative to the vaccine, its efficacy, and the vaccination process. So, I mean, that's a question only Nick can answer.
Next question is from Chris Daniels of King 5 TV. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So I just wanted to follow up with you, Pat, and President Scholes, two different questions. One, Pat, if you can just, can you clarify if the 5 coaches had their exemption denied, or was it simply an accommodation question for all 5?
Probably the easiest thing, because you're asking me about 5, is to remind you that we are not permitted to go in specific details on any employees due to privacy laws.
But you did say that Coach Rolovich was not granted the accommodation.
Nick has been very public about, or it was made public on the type of accommodation he was looking for, or that he was seeking. That accommodation request was denied today.
And President Scholes, you talked about Washington State University being in the headlines because of this. What would you say the feedback has been like from alums, faculty, and donors over the last couple of months?
Well, as you all aware, that there's a variety of perspectives on vaccines, vaccine status, people's personal individual rights around that. I would say internally within Washington State University, from our faculty and staff point of view, there's been a lot of frustration with such a prominent employee choosing not to be vaccinated. We have a medical school. We are a science and technology based and focused land grant institution. So that particular group has been pretty strident in their viewpoints about it. I think from alumni, it's been more mixed. I've heard from a lot of people today that said, hey, this was the right decision to make from the university. I've also heard from several others that did not feel that the decision that I made, or Pat and I made, was the right one. So I think it's mixed. We'll probably have some people who elect to maybe not financially support WSU because they don't agree with the decision. I got an email note just about 45 minutes ago from an alum that said that because of our decision, he was tonight going to make a donation to 2 colleges in support of Washington State University. So I think we're going to see a mixed set of reactions over the next little bit. And I'm just going to tell everybody the same thing: is take a deep breath. Let's watch what this football team does. Let's watch what Coach Dickert can do with our young men. And I would encourage, before people make any actions of any type, and that includes a judgment call, give themselves a day or two to relax a little bit, talk to some colleagues, and see where things are.
Our next question comes from Scott Hansen of the Seattle Times.
Was Nick given a chance to say goodbye to his team or not?
We met this afternoon, and he left as soon as we met.
Next question comes from Lane Higgins.
Yeah, kind of more on that. I don't know if you saw the players' reaction after beating Stanford on Saturday night and how they gave the coach the Gatorade bath, but did you have the sense that there was a feeling in the program that, you know, their coach's time was over before it got to this point on Monday?
I mean, I got the sense that was a great win for this football program, and they've gotten better week by week. And there's a lot of love and care amongst that football program, like you would see in on any team. And I think it's probably more indicative of the heartbreak you felt today. And it's a tough day for Washington State football. Nobody wants to be here. I have a lot of empathy for the young men in that locker room, but those upperclassmen have been through a lot in my time here. 2 teammate deaths, a pandemic, 3 coaching changes. I mean, this is a lot, and it's a tough day for everybody here.
Next question comes from Adam Rittenberg of ESPN.
Pat, you mentioned your conversations with Nick over the last few months and his resolute belief to kind of stick with his position. It's obviously coming down today. This is the deadline. In your mind, was there any other way this wouldn't end but the way it has, or did you still keep yourself open to the possibility that he would change his mind and he'd keep coaching?
Well, I'm appreciative of working at an institution that had a very objective process that was fair and equitable. Every employee was righted to go through this process should they choose not to go through should they choose not to get vaccinated. Ultimately, the decision was made and rendered today, and my job is to react to that decision. So, like I said, nobody wanted to be at this moment. We didn't hire Nick to be here for a midseason change. Our student athletes are the biggest loser in all this when it's all said and done. They've done all the things they're supposed to do, especially to get through this pandemic. They're working hard academically. The sacrifices they've made. We have guys that stayed here in Pullman throughout the entire pandemic. So, I mean, this is, like I said, this is a tough day, but it's nobody wanted to be here.
If I could add just a bit to that, Pat and I probably talk every day. We do most of the year anyway. And I think over the last 3 months, this has been a regular part of our conversation is I know I wanted to see Coach Rolovich and the other members of our football staff elect to take the vaccine. If you look at where we are as a football program, it's been fun to watch our team play over the last several weeks. So I was hopeful all along that maybe after a month or two, there would be a change of heart and Pat would call and say, hey, I know it's been a little tough on the university, but guess what? They elected, those individuals on our staff elected to get the vaccine. That just didn't take place. And there was lots of conversations, lots of encouragement. And I just don't want anybody thinking out there that we kind of sat in our offices hopeful that something would happen. There's a lot of active communication with members of those staff around our pro-vaccine status as a university and as a university community. We've been very transparent with that. We've said it all along. And I want to just emphasize people made a choice and they had months to make that choice. This wasn't something that just all of a sudden popped up.
Our next question comes from Brenna Green of Creme TV.
Hi guys. Pat, just how surreal is it to be in this moment after all of the excitement that was just under 2 years ago with this coach?
Surreal is a good word, but I mean, it's just unfortunate. It just really goes back to it's, just all my conversations with this team. They don't deserve this. I mean, that is a real point of heartbreak. And, this 2021 team and this upper class, unfortunately for them, they have tons of experience persevering through adversity. And unfortunately for them, they're going to have to go find another way to persevere through this adversity. So, at the end of the day, this is really not much to do about me. This is really about how this impacts our student athletes. And that's really what my focus has been because, and the other thing too, they're probably more resilient than I'll ever be. I recognize that as well. I mean, you see that in how they behave and how they act. And, even look at the adversity they started out with this season and how they're playing football now. I mean, that's a testament to the character, resiliency, and perseverance of the young men in that room. So, like I said, it's surreal is a good way to describe it, but it's really more just a lot of heartbreak for the young men in our locker room.
And if I could add to that, I would say disappointing is the word I would use. We have been very active out working with alumni and friends to invest in facilities and invest in our football program. And we hired Coach Rolovich. We weren't interested in somebody being around for a couple of years. We thought this could be where he retires from. And so to me, that's what we want to do, is find people we think fit our culture, that do a great job coaching our young men and our young women. So, I mean, if I look back on it, we made the decision that we had to make today. And while neither of us wanted to be here doing that, I recognize that this is a place with a lot of momentum. It's an athletic program with a lot of success on the field. And I think we're going to go out and find a person to come in here to build on that success.
Next question is from John Blanchette of the Spokesman Review.
Pat, earlier in the press conference, you said you took responsibility for bringing Nick here and hiring him. Obviously, 20 months ago, something like this, the pandemic couldn't have been predicted. But moving forward, the circumstances of what's happened, does that add another layer to the hiring process, the vetting process for future coaching candidates?
Well, I think the world has changed since, I guess, January of 2020. So as the world has changed, like any employment opportunity we have at Washington State, we'll adapt to the needs of the program, that specific position, and what's best. So I think it's just really reflective of where we were at as a society today is very different than when the pandemic started. So yes, there are other factors that will have to be ironed out as we go through a search.
Our next question comes from Chris Vanini of The Athletic.
Yeah, Pat, I guess just to clarify, were you the one who informed the team, and what was the message, to the team?
I met with our leadership council last night. As we just talked through, the last couple of weeks have been really about scenario planning with the coaching staff, with Nick, with our leadership council, and today was really meeting with the team. We had agreed last night with the leadership council, which is I think about 22 of the guys on the team, that we would just set this time because we just didn't know what the day was going to bring. And they just wanted to hear, they just want to have dialogue right away. So the only appropriate person to inform them of the decision that was rendered is me. And, I explained to them, re-explained to them on why we're here, what happened. And then Coach Dicker took over and addressed the team.
We have time for just a few more questions. The next one from Brent Schrotenboer of USA Today. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, who exactly denied the head coach's exemption request? Was it a committee or was it either of you?
Well, I think those are the specifics that we won't go into because of privacy laws.
And are there any players that are saying they won't play because of this what happened?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Next question is from Jamie Vinnick of Kook Fan.
This again might fall into the can't answer category, but are you able to say if there were any other coaches at Washington State who you started the separation process with?
Beyond what we announced today?
Yes. Any other under sports?
No, we won't go into those specifics at all.
Thank you.
Next question is from Dennis Dodd of CBS Sports.
My question was answered. Thank you.
Next question is from Rob Jesselson, KHQ TV.
Hey, Pat, I'm going to piggyback off a question that was asked just a minute ago. When you informed the team of the decision, what was their initial reaction? And could you get a feeling on how they're going to respond moving forward?
Well, I mean, their response is what you would expect out of a bunch of college-age young people that lost their head coach and a bunch of position coaches as well. I mean, that's a very close-knit group. They handled it maturely, but without a doubt, there's a lot of disappointment, sadness, anger, it's a room filled with over 120 young people, so it's going to be the full spectrum of emotions. But they listened, and they were all there, and we talked. And going forward, I mean, this is the old adage: life is 10% what happens, 90% how you react to it. And like I said, we're led by a group of young men in that upper class that have been through a lot here at Washington State, more than most people should ever have to go through. And unfortunately, they have a lot of experience in persevering through adversity, and they'll have our full support. And, we're going to work with the coaching staff to really keen in on what they think the short-term needs are of this football team. All their goals are still in front of them. There's a lot of adversity in front of them. It's probably unprecedented to lose this many coaches in the middle of a season. But we're going to have to go figure out a way to help these young men achieve and accomplish their goals.
Final question is from Billy Witz of New York Times.
Yeah. Hi, Pat. So how many, I guess, what was just the raw number of people who were in the athletic department who, besides the 5 football coaches who the separation processes started?
I do not have that number.
Is it more than one?
I don't have that number. My day was concerned more about the well-being of our football team. And obviously we're going through a human resources process with a handful of employees. Those employees are righted to go through that process. And, but today was really focused on trying to make sure that we communicate appropriately with our team.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. That's all the time we have for tonight. Appreciate you hopping on, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.